Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Southern Cal. I'm back at y'all with another video. Before we get into this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so you'll get a notification every single time I drop a new video. Now let's go. So I've been sitting back watching this whole Young Thug and YSL thing just unfold, just unravel. And and this is a crazy one because, you know, everybody going home. You know, all of his co-defendants are going home. It seems that way, you know. And it's a crazy one, you know, for Young Thug, man. And I'm not a Young Thug fan. So when I watch this stuff, I'm not watching from a viewpoint of being a fan of Young Thug and YSL. You know, I'm watching from a standpoint of these are young black men. These are more and more of our young black men going down the drain. Them and their money and their talents, they just wasted everything. All because they trying to prove to everybody that you know, that they from the streets and how street they are. And they're not thinking about their families. They're not thinking about the fact that they got people who depend on them. They're not thinking about the fact that they got people who love them and people who care about them and people who, you know what I'm saying? Like people who look up to them and people who look at them as role models, you know, all of that type of thing, man. They're not taking that into account when they out on the streets doing what they doing they dirt. They're not taking that stuff into account at all. And that's just the sad part to me. It's you know, cause this man got kids. I don't think he's married, but he definitely got kids. And now it's to a point to where he probably would never ever, I would say never ever, but I would say that, you know, his kids are small. He got smaller kids. But by the time he do get out of prison, his kids gonna be grown. They're gonna be grown-ups. They're gonna be grown men and grown women, you know, by the time he get out of prison. So, because it ain't looking good for him. You know, they offered everybody else plea deals except for him. And the reason why is because they want him gone. Like, they want him gone because they look at him as the head and as the kingpin of this whole thing. That's the way they look at him. And it's, you know, it ain't looking good for him. I don't know when kids are gonna learn. I don't know when people are gonna learn that all this love that people have for the streets ain't got that same type of love for them. The streets don't love you back. You're fighting for streets and blocks that you don't own. And you getting killed over it. You know, so much blood is being spilled on these streets, on these blocks, on these corners that these people don't own at all. And it's crazy just how much blood has been spilled. But when you have an opportunity to get out of that, you would think that a person would put all that stuff behind once they have an opportunity to get out of that whole street thing. But it don't ever happen that way. It's like you rap to get out of the hood. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm just saying because I used to run them streets. And I don't run them streets no more. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm not a street. I ain't no street dude. I don't claim them streets. I don't rep them streets no more. I don't do none of that. I am a proud civilian. I'm a civilian. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't know. I go where I need to go, and I come back home. My whole thing now is making it home to my family in one piece. I have a wife, and I have kids to live for. And that's all I want to do now is make it back home every day in one piece so that I can be with my family. And so that I can love and be loved on by my family. That's the best kind of love for me, because anybody who knows me personally knows that I'm a family man. I'm very, very big on family. And I like the fact of me coming home to my family every day in one piece. So I don't do that street stuff no more. That stuff is no longer in me. I'm good on that. I've been out them streets for years, and I'm loving every bit of it. I don't plan on ever going back into them streets at all. And I'm just thankful that when I was out there in them streets doing a whole bunch of wild, dumb-ish, that I didn't get caught up and, was serving time in prison behind doing some wild, dumb-ish, man. I'm very thankful. I thank the Lord for that all the time, because that stuff, that could have been me. All this that's going on with them could have been me. Could have very well been me. But anyways, one of his people, they had the recorded conversation with him and his baby mama. And with his baby mama telling him that he is encouraging him to cooperate so that he can come home, because he has a son to think about. And so on this recorded conversation, she's just, well, you need to do what you got to do to come home. You need to do what you got to do to come home, because you got a son to think about. Think about your son, and you need to come home and blah. You do this, blah, blah, blah. Do this, do that, do that, do this. Do whatever you need to do, come home, because these folks in jail, they don't give a F about you in jail, and these folks don't care about you. So do what you need to do to come home, and you got a son to think about. I'm telling you, think about your son. Think about your son. And the first thing that came to my mind is that, man, it's like, baby, ma'am, why are you just now telling him this? Why were you not encouraging him to do this before he got locked up? Why are you doing this? Why is it so important to you now? But it wasn't so important to you back then when he was running them streets. Why now? And I tell you why. Because this is what women love. Women love the street dudes. Women love the hood dudes. That's what they love. It's exciting to them. They choose the street guys over the nice guys. They choose the bad boys over the good guys. That's just what it is. They choose the arrogant asshole hood boys over the good guys with great attitudes who will treat them right. Man, my wife told me something that was crazy. And I said this. I said, I always believed it. I said, you know what? I said, the thing about it is, women love assholes. Women love assholes. And she told me, she came out of her mouth, she said, no, we don't love assholes. We just like to F the assholes. But when it comes to being in a like a long-term relationship, we don't want the assholes because we know that they're not going to treat us right. But now, do we as women love effing the assholes? Yes, we'll F the assholes real quick. Because they got good sex. And they know what they're doing. But when it comes to something long term, no, we don't fool with that. And I'm like, well, at least she admitted it. At least she admitted it. And so that's the thing. That's what they love. They love the sleazeballs, the hood boys, the Negroes who could care less about them. Those are the ones that they are attracted to. She was loving him. She was loving him when he was out there in them streets doing what he was doing. I guarantee you, she was loving it when he was out there in them streets being a shooter. She was loving it when he was out there in them streets dealing drugs and whatever the hell else he was doing. You know, beating people up and doing all this other street stuff. She was loving it. That's probably what drew her to him in the first place. That's probably what attracted her to him in the first place. But now that they have a child together, right when y'all have that child together, that's when you should have been telling him. That's when you should have been encouraging him. Okay, it's time for you to leave the street stuff alone. It's time for you to get out of these streets because you have a child to think about now. That's when you should have been telling him that. Now, but no, you were still loving it. You were still loving it. But now that he locked up in jail and he looking at football numbers, now all of a sudden is you need to do what you got to do to come home because you got a son. You have a son to think about. You have this to worry about. You have that to worry about. They don't care about you. Well, baby, they didn't care about him when he ran them streets. They didn't care about him then. But you was loving it though. Because I guarantee you, since he been in jail, I guarantee one of his homeboys then tried to holler at his baby mama. Because that's what happens. You think that your homeboys are your homeboys until some real ish go down and you get locked up. Let some real ish go down and you get locked up. But one of your so-called homeboys gonna be trying to holler at your baby mama. One of your so-called homeboys gonna be trying to smash your baby mama. It never fails. All of that when he was out there in them streets, all of that was sexy to you, ma'am. It was sexy to you then. But now it ain't so sexy. Now you want him to ruin his reputation as a street dude just to come home and see his son. Just so he can come home so that he can be with his son. When that should have been, that pep talk should have happened before he went to prison. Before he got locked up. Sorry about that, y'all. I got a phone call. But yeah, so that's just what that is. You was loving it. So this should be a lesson. This right here should be a lesson to everybody who running them streets that it never ends good. It always ends bad. Trust me. Trust me. Take it from somebody who was out there in them streets. I done robbed. You know what I'm talking about? I done robbed. I done tried to break in. I done tried to break in places. You know what I'm saying? I done had guns pointed in my face. I done been shot at. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, I been there, done that. It's times where I just see my whole life flash before my eyes. Been there, done that. And now that I look back on it, I thank the Lord that I ain't get caught up, that I ain't end up getting killed or getting put behind bars because of that bull crap that I was doing out there in them streets. Let it go. Think about your families. Think about your kids. Think about the people who love you. Think about the people who care for you. Think about the people who want to see you do good in life. Think about the people who depend on you, who count on you. Think about your mama. Who gonna be crying every single night while you locked up in prison? It's crazy because my wife does things for her church. She does activities for her church. And she went with another young lady because she went with another young lady, a member of the church, to visit an older woman who had just lost her son. Her son been in prison. Man, her son been in prison, since I was in high school. And her son passed away in prison. So he just passed away like last week. And she was just telling me about how when she went over there to visit him and you know, and to pray with her and all that good stuff there. And she was just saying how, you know, how the older lady was saying how her hair was falling out and how she was, you know, so that what she had been going through. And one of the things that she had been going through was that her hair was falling out. And I said, man, that can't come from nowhere but years and years and years of stress. Because her son is locked up behind bars. Because let me tell you something. You might be thinking like, well, her son should have did what he did to get in there. Okay, and you're absolutely correct. You're right. But that's still her son. And a mother's love never changes for her child. Even though he was locked up in there for so many years and now he's dead and gone. Now she's going through it even more. That was still her son. Still her son. Even though he was locked up in prison, at least she could still call him. At least she could still hear his voice on the other end of that phone and hear him. And at least she could still hear him say, I love you, Ma. At least she could still go and visit him and give him a hug and say, I love you, son. Hold your head up. Stay strong in here. I'm praying for the day that you be released from behind these walls, son. At least she can still go and do that. But now she can't even do that. Because her son is gone. Died in prison. And this is what a lot of mamas are going through. And this is what y'all street dudes, y'all got to think about that type of thing, man. Think about how your mama gonna feel when you locked up behind bars and she crying every single night, stressing about, wondering if her son being treated right in that prison, wondering who doing what to her son, wondering if the day's gonna come when she gonna get a call from the prison and hear that her son that got killed in prison, that somebody did something crazy to her son. These are the things that y'all have to think about, man. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. Because you got your homies out here in these streets, but the thing about it is, when you get locked up, the only person who got to do that time is you. You the only person got to worry about doing that time. You know what I'm saying? Your homeboys ain't going to do your time for you. You got to do that time for yourself. If your homeboys don't end up telling on you like they do in Young Thug. All his homeboys telling on him now. They taking plea deals. They taking plea deals now. And they gonna have to come and they gonna have to come back and testify on the witness stand if they need to, if they need them to. They're gonna have to come back later on and testify against them. These are all people who Young Thug loved. These are all people who he put on. This man put Gunna on. Changed that man's life. His own brother even took a plea deal and went home and is ready and willing to snitch on him and testify against him. All because he couldn't take it. He could no longer take that prison life. He could no longer take that type of life and being locked up behind that wall. Being locked up behind them bars. Because let me tell you something. It's always a jail cell ready for you somewhere. Oh, yeah. They're going to keep a nice, they're going to keep a nice, cold, rat-infested jail cell waiting on you. Oh, yeah. That's always. So in closing this, man, Listen, it ain't worth it, man. It ain't worth it. Think about your family. Think about your kids. Think about the people who are the most important to you and how you're going to be hurting them, because it's not just you no more. It's not just you who's going to be affected by this whole thing. Everybody around you who loves you is going to be affected by this whole thing as well. Once again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Help me grow this channel. The podcast, the Calabama podcast is out. We got 2 episodes up now. Go check them out. Go check them out. Hey, listen, it's Christmas Eve. I hope and pray that you guys are warm, staying warm, because it's cold out here. It's cold in the mug out the thing. But I hope that you guys are staying warm. I hope that you guys are enjoying your family. And Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you guys. I want to thank every subscriber, everyone who's subscribed to my channel, everyone who tunes in faithfully to my channel. I cannot say it enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your love. Thank you for your support, and continue to support me. Continue to support this channel. Continue to help me grow this channel. All right. And until next time, it's your boy Southern Cal. Merry Christmas. Gone.